Bother me right now. Yeah. You watch Tulsa Cat? Yeah. Yeah, that's a great. I love it. We just watched that so last night. I'm like 2 behind. Oh yeah. You know, it's another great show. Not the Aristocrat. Somebody from the best time.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call the November 12th Finance Committee meeting to order. Can I have a roll call, please?
Member Cahill, Member Chaplin,
Here.
Member Childress, Member Covert, Member Desart, Member Eckhoff, Member Evans, Member Galassi, Member Garcia, Member Guston, Member Krajewski, Member LaPlante, Member Ozog, Member Rutledge, Member Swarzy, Member Tornatore, Member Yu.
Here. Okay, we have a quorum. Do we have any public comment this morning? Okay, with that, I'll move on to the approval of minutes. Can I have a motion to approve 24, 28, 55 finance? Oh, I didn't know she was coming in online. Okay. We're going to go back for a minute. I've just been made aware that we have a member that would like to participate through Zoom. So I'll entertain a motion to prevent those members not physically present due to personal illness or disability, employment purposes, or business of the board, family or other emergency or unexpected childcare obligations to participate by video conference or teleconference. I had a motion by Member Garcia, second by Member Rutledge. All those in favor? Opposed? Welcome, Member Yu.
Thank
And
you.
welcome, Member Galassi. So with that, we'll go back to the approval of the minutes. Did we have a motion in a second on those? Okay, can I have a motion? Motion by Member Garcia, second by Member Zay on the minutes from the October 22nd meeting. Any discussion on those? Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. We move on to budget transfers. Can I have a motion for item 24-3001, transfer of funds from professional services to overtime in the amount of $12,000 to increase the overtime budget for the remainder of the fiscal year 2024 due to backlogs of processing documents, supervisor of assessments. I had a motion by Member Krajewski, second by Member Guston. Okay. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. Can I have a motion on 24-3002, transfer of funds from professional services to IT capital lease in the amount of $1,670 to cover the remainder of the Hanukkah lease payments? That was motion by Member Garcia, second by Member Guston. Any discussion on this? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Can I have a motion on 24-3003, budget transfers 11/12/2024 from various companies and accounting units? Motion by Member Zay, second by Member Guston. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. Okay, we move on to procurement requisitions, and I will call Member Krajewski for finance.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on 24-2673, a decrease in closed purchase order 6449 issued to Physicians Record Company in the amount of $21,086.
I have a motion by Member Krajewski, a second by Member Guston. Any discussion? What was that?
(24-2973).
Don't make me, Sheila.
Okay. All those in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. Member Krajewski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on FIP 0021-24, recommendation for approval of funding the Rock Fusco and Connolly LLC to provide legal services, the amount of not to exceed $120,000.
I have a motion by Member Krajewski, a second by Member Guston. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Member Krajewski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Move on FIP 0022-24, recommendation for approval of funding from Mumpkis LLC to provide legal services, amount not to exceed $70,000.
Okay, I have a motion by Member Krajewski, a second by member Garcia. I did have a question. Member, you sent in an email about the missing vendor ethics for this item. So, thank you, Valerie.
Yes, this item was not in the packet when we did put it in Legistar. I have requested it from staff, so we should
Okay.
hopefully have it very shortly.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Any other further questions or anything on this item? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Member Krajewski?
Madam Chair, I move on 24-2914, a recommendation for issuance of a contract purchase order to Alliant Insurance Services for underground storage tank insurance for an amount not to exceed $16,431.
Motion by member Krajewski, second by member Garcia. Any discussion? All those in favor? Oh, member Krajewski, go ahead. I'm sorry.
This is just like insurance, but it's not available for competitive bid. Not suitable for competitive bid, is it?
Okay, Jeff is going to come up. Thank you, Jeff.
There's multiple companies that provide insurance.
These are competitive bids. These are our insurance renewals that you'll see throughout the agenda. These were bid out by Alliant Mesero.
Okay, it just said it's not suitable for competitive. That's fine if they were bidded out.
Yeah, Alliant goes through and they do the qualifications for the vendors who provide insurance for all of these policies.
So they were bid out.
Yes.
You got a question there?
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed, motion carries. Member Krajewski?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on 24-2916, a recommendation issuance of a contract purchase order to Alliant Insurance to provide 3-year criminal insurance policy in an amount not to exceed $21,619.
Motion by member Krajewski, second by member Garcia. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed, motion carries. Member Krajewski?
Madam Chair, I move on FIP 0023-24, recommendation for the issuance of contract purchase order to Alliant Insurance for our cyber liability insurance in an amount not to exceed $143,413.
Motion by member Krajewski, second by member Rutledge. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed, motion carries. Member Krajewski?
Madam Chair, I move on FIP 0024-24, recommendation for the issuance of contract purchase order to Alliant Insurance Services for our tort liability for an amount not to exceed $47,917.
Motion by member Krajewski, second by member Galassi. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed, the motion carries. Member Krajewski?
Madam Chair, I move on FIP 0025-24, recommendation issuance of contract purchase order to Alliant Insurance Services for excess general and automobile liability insurance in amount not to exceed $870,409.
Motion by member Krajewski, second by member Garcia. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed, the motion carries. Member Krajewski?
Madam Chair, I move on FIP 0026-24, recommendation for the issuance of a contract purchase order to Alliant Insurance Services to provide property insurance for all county properties, including the health department, in amount not to exceed $398,336.
Motion by member Krajewski, second by member Garcia. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed, the motion carries. Member Krajewski?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Last, I move on FIP 0027-24, recommendation and issuance of a contract purchase order to Alliant Insurance Services to provide workman's comp insurance for the county and the health department in an amount not to exceed $217,021.
Motion by member Krajewski, second by member Garcia. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you, member Krajewski. We move on to development and member Tornatori.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move approval of DCO 0002-24, a recommendation for the approval of an amendment to purchase order 6693-0001, serve issued to Acela Inc. to extend subscription service for Velocimo software integration between Acela online permitting software and Bluebeam plan review software through June 22nd, 2025, and increase the contract amount for building and zoning $4,631.71 the same amount to the Division of Transportation, Stormwater, and Public Works for a total contract increase not to exceed $18,526.83.
Motion by member Tornatori, second by member Guston. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. Member
Thank
Tornatori.
you, Madam Chair. Move approval of DCP 0003-24, a recommendation for the approval of a contract order to Safe Built Illinois LLC for professional services to perform building and plumbing plan reviews and inspections on an as-needed basis in unincorporated DuPage County for the period December 1, 2024 through December 30th, 2025 for the Building and Zoning Department for contract total amount not to exceed $75,000.
Motion by member Tornatori, second by member Guston. Any discussion?
Oh, I'm sorry. December 1st, 2024 through November 30th, 2025. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, member
Thank you,
Tornatori.
Madam Chair.
We move on to Human Services, and I'll call on member Schwarzy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll move on HSCO 000324 amendment to purchase order 66400001 serve issued to Benevate Inc. doing business as Neighborly Software for grants management software to increase the contract in the amount of $99,000, resulting in an amended contract total $241,000.
Motion by member Schwarzy, second by member Garcia. Any discussion on this item? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Member Schwarzy.
Thank you. I move on HSP 4624, awarding resolution issued to Chicago United Industries LTD to furnish, deliver, and install Energy Star appliances for the weatherization program for community services for the period of October 29th, 2024 through June 30th, 2025, for a contract total of $67,367.
I have a motion by member Schwarzy, a second by member Garcia. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Schwarzy.
Thank you. I move on HSP 4724, awarding resolution issued to Optimum Management Resources, Inc. to provide technical assistance and consultation services to the DuPage County Homeless Continuum of Care for Community Services for the period of January 1st, 25 through December 31st of 25 for a contract total amount not to exceed $30,660.
Motion by member Schwarzy, second by member member Covert. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Schwarzy.
Thank you. I move on HSP 4824, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order issued to Cimbria Rehab Inc. for Community Wellness Partner for the Wellness Center staffing and management for outpatient center at the DuPage Care Center for the period December 1st, 2024 through November 30th, 2025, for a contract total not to exceed $66,000.
I had a motion by member Schwarzy, second by member Garcia. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Member Schwarzy.
Thank you. I move on HSP 4924, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order issued to Cimbria Rehab Inc. for physical, occupational, speech, and respiratory therapy and consulting services at the DuPage Care Center for the period December 1st, 2024 through November 30th, 2025 for a contract total not to exceed $700,000.
Motion by member Schwarzy, second by member Covert. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Member Schwarzy.
Thank you. I move on HSP 5024, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order issued to Cisco Chicago Inc. for primary food, supplies, and chemicals for the DuPage Care Center for the period December 1st, 2024 through November 30th, 2025, or a total contract amount not to exceed $1,297,000.
Motion by member Schwarzy, second by member Garcia. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Member Schwarzy.
Thank you. I move on HSP 5124, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order issued to Professional Medical and Surgical to provide examination gloves for the DuPage Care Center for the period January 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2025 for a total contract amount not to exceed $95,000.
Motion by member Schwarzy, second by member Garcia. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Member Schwarzy.
Thank you. I move on HSP 5224, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order issued to National Auto Fleet Group for a 2024 Ford Super Duty F550 XL bus for the DuPage Care Center for the period of November 13th, 2024 through November 30th, 2025 for a contract total not to exceed $202,400 $44.27.
Motion by member Schwarzy, second by member Rutledge. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Schwarzy?
Thank you. I move on HSR 2024 approval of issuance of payments by the DuPage County to energy assistance providers through the Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program, HHS grant for program year 24, intergovernmental agreement number 24224028 in the amount of $301,000 for the period of October 1st, 2023 through August 31st, 2025.
Motion by member Schwarzy, second by member Garcia. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you, member Schwarzy. We move on to judicial and public safety, and I'll call member Evans.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move on JPS CO-11-24, amendment to purchase order 6738-1 serve issued to Strikers, Inc. to increase the contract encumbrance in the amount of $30,000 for a new contract total not to exceed $195,000.
Motion by member Evans, second by member Cahill. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Evans?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move on JPSP-33-24, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Strikers, Inc. for the purchase of ballistic and stab-resistant armor for the deputies for the Sheriff's Office for the period of December 1st, 2024 through November 30th, 2025, for contract total not to exceed $165,000.
Motion by member Evans, second by member Zay. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Member Evans?
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move on JPSP-34-24, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Heartland Business Systems to provide security updates for the Sheriff's Office for the period of October 24th, 2024 through December 20th, 2025, for a contract total not to exceed $196,876.61.
Motion by member Evans, second by member Guston. Any Cahill, second by member Cahill. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Evans?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Finally, I'd like to move on JPSP-35-24, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to CDW Government LLC to purchase equipment and provide backup media and offline backup for the Sheriff's Office for the period of November 12th, 2024 through November 11th, 2025, for a contract not to exceed $51,030.84.
Motion by member Evans, second by member Guston. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you, member Evans. We move on to Public Works and member Garcia.
Thank you, Chair Chaplin. I make a motion to approve FMCO 0000224 amendment to resolution FMP 021722 issued to the Village of Glendale Heights on behalf of the 18th Judicial Court Circuit for the lease of property for use as courtroom facilities for facilities management for a change order to change the contract expiration date of November 30th, 2025 to March 12th, 2025, and decrease the contract amount by $75,250, taking the original contract amount of $245,708 and resulting in an amended contract amount not to exceed $170,458, a decrease of 30.63%.
Motion by member Garcia, second by member Cahill. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Garcia?
I make a motion to approve FMP 004124, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Midwest Applied Solutions, Inc. to provide ionization tube parts for HVAC clean air systems at the Judicial Air Facility and Annex for Facilities Management for the period of November 13th, 2024 through November 12th, 2025, for a total contract amount not to exceed $45,660.
Motion by member Garcia, second by member Rutledge. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Member Garcia?
I make a motion to approve PWP 002824, recommendation for the approval of funding to Haminer Law LLC for professional legal services to assist the DuPage County Department of Public Works with Lake Michigan water allocation for unincorporated Itasca as needed for the period November 12th, 2024 through November 30th, 2026 for an amount not to exceed $65,000.
Motion by member Garcia, second by member Cahill. Any discussion on this item? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Member Garcia?
I make a motion to approve PWP 002924, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Metro Tank and Pipe Company to furnish and retrofit the Public Works Fuel Station Gas Buoy Submersible Pump for diesel tank for Public Works for the period of November twelfth, 2024 to June 30th, 2025, for a total contract amount not to exceed $37,115.
I have a motion by member Garcia, second by member Glossi. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you, member Garcia. We move on to stormwater and member Zay.
Morning, Madam Chair. I move on SMP 2624, recommendation for the approval of the contract issued to Engineering Resource Associates for professional engineering services for the development of Prentice Creek Watershed Plan, a tributary of the East Branch of DuPage River for the period November 12th, 2024 through November 30th, 2026, for a contract not to exceed $95,000.
I have a motion by member Zay, a second by member Garcia. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Zay.
Madam Chair, I'm going to step out. Member Eckhoff's going to take this one.
Okay, please let the record reflect member Zay leaving the room. Go ahead, please proceed, member Eckhoff.
And move approval of SMP 27-24, recommendation for the approval of contract to Christopher B. Burke Engineering LTD for professional engineering and ecological services for guidance documents, development and training for the county-wide stormwater and floodplain ordinance for the period November 12, 2024 through November 30th, 2026 for a contract total not to exceed $320,000.
Motion by member Eckhoff, second by member Guston. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. Can we bring member Zay back? Welcome back, member Zay.
The cafeteria.
Wow, that was fast.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on SMP 2824, recommendation to enter into a joint funding agreement between the County of DuPage and the United States Department of the Interior, USGS, for water resource investigations period December 1st, 2024 through November 30th, 2025 for stormwater management. Contract amount not to exceed $393,400. USGS will contribute $168,600.
Motion by member Zay, second by member Garcia. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Zay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Move on SMP 2924, recommendation approval of contract issued to Scarce for professional education service for stormwater management for the period December 1st, 2024 to November 30th, 2025. A contract not to exceed $235,000, $85,000 from stormwater and $150,000 from environmental.
Motion by member Zay, second by member Garcia. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
The motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, member Zay. I believe we do have member Yu online. Member Yu, are you here?
Yes,
Okay. Did you want to take this technology today?
sure, if I may.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on to ECO 3-24, Amendment to County Contract 60820001 serve issued to Dell Inc. for a Microsoft Enterprise Agreement for all Microsoft software and Azure cloud services for GIS and IT to increase the encumbrance by $11,405.53, resulting in an amended contract total of $3,850,042.62.
I have a motion by member Yu, second by member Glossi, member Cahill. Member Guston. Okay, I'm going to just go through every female in the boardroom here. Okay, so you have a motion by member Yu, second by member Guston. Any discussion on this item? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Yu.
Yes, thank you. I make a motion on TEP 18-24, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to BDO USA LLP for the annual software maintenance of FireEye security software for the period of December 10, 2024 through December 9, 2025 for IT for a contract total amount of $188,267.
Motion by member Yu, second by member Guston. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Member Yu.
And thank you. I move on to EP 19-24, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to IBM Corporation for the purchase of program product software licenses for IBM ZOS and software support and maintenance for the BC12Z system server for IT for the period of December 1, 2024 through November 30, 2025 for total contract total of $111,171.72.
Motion by member Yu, second by member Garcia. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Yu.
I move on to EP 20-24, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to MHC Software, Inc. for annual maintenance of the enterprise content management system that integrates with the ERP system for finance and human resources for IT for the period of December 1, 2024 through November 30, 2025, for a contract total of $85,926.97.
I have a motion by member Yu, a second by member Garcia. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Yu?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And finally, I move on to EP 21-24, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Insight Public Sector for the procurement of desktop computers for IT and probation for the period of November 12, 2024 through November 11, 2025 for a contract total amount of $57,720.
Motion by member Yu, second by member Garcia. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you, member Yu.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, we're going to move on to transportation. I'll call on member Ozog.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move for approval of DTR 004224, an agreement between the County of DuPage and PACE for the establishment of a pilot rideshare access program for the Hinsdale Lake Terrace, Willowbrook Corners neighborhood. Estimated county cost $100,000.
Motion by member Ozog, second by member Garcia. Member Eckhoff seeking recognition. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I just had a couple questions about this. It's a new program. What's it exactly going to entail?
Oh, good morning, Steve. If you want to come up and give a little explanation.
Good morning. So the program is to provide rideshare options for the folks that live in this community. Right now, it's kind of a transit desert, if you will. So it's kind of a single occupant vehicle kind of environment in a lot of places where a lot of the community does not actually have cars. So this provides them transit opportunity to get to the metro stations, get in and around the community itself, to get to the library, things like that. So it's a pilot program. It's going to go for a year with Pace and Uber and another U-Serve, another rideshare company.
So is there going to be regular bus service around the area?
No, it's going to be like I said, it's a ride access program. So we're going to be providing Pace's working with Uber and U-Serve to provide rides to folks. And we're providing a reimbursement for a certain portion of those trips.
And it looked like it's an 8-year agreement with a 30-day opt-out provision.
That sounds correct, yes.
Is it $100,000 a year? Or?
Right now, the 100,000 is, we anticipate to go the first year. We'll see how successful the program is.
So the estimated county costs and where it says 100,000 should really be 800,000.
Right now, that's all that we have budgeted for it is the 100,000. We don't know if it's going to be 100,000 less or more right now.
And why is the county indemnifying Pace as opposed to them indemnifying us?
That's a great question. I'm not sure. I've got a, yeah.
There you go. Oh, your mic. Okay, I'll turn mine off.
Well, it's not going on, is anybody? Okay, there we go. If you read the indemnification, it's just to Pace. They are another intergovernmental entity, so we can indemnify them unlike a private entity. This was something the county was interested in. The county board showed interest for years and years. Pace was not interested. There was an RFI. Nobody responded. Term beggars can't be choosers comes to mind. We went back and begged Pace to help us with this so we could get a program. Pace is not having their buses take people around. They were just coordinating. So they really have no liability. The county also, it's incredibly unlikely that the county could ever be held liable either.
For what Uber does, you mean?
Right. We're just
Why I think it's a good
coordinating and
program. I
paying.
just don't understand all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I believe member Evans wanted to make a comment and then member
Thank you, Madam
Kudusky.
Chair.
Yes.
I just did want to, number one, thank Transportation for working with Pace, and Pace did a great job coming up with this creative solution. This area is in District 3 and it is bound by the I-55 freeway Kingery Highway, the Des Plaines River, and Clarendon Hills Road, which has no, and the Forest Preserve. So there's no walking out of there, and there's no public transportation in that area. So this is the best that we could come up with, and we are working very hard to get ridership and to promote the program because it really will provide so many economic opportunities for everyone that lives there. And it's about 3,000 residents that it would serve. So that's a lot of people in a very small area. So thank you.
Thank you, Member Evans. Member Krajewski?
Yeah, thank you. I echo what Evan said. It's one of the biggest needs in District 3, but also the question is, did you guys work or talk to the township at all? Because they have their program too, and they, I would think, should probably also look to fund this program. Just for the simple fact is, it's probably one of the only areas in Downers Township. There's a few senior centers that people don't have cars that they use at their transportation program. But I would think the township would be able to participate also.
So the township has some skin in the game. There's a larger project that is encompassing this area, including building some sidewalks along 91st Street there, of which they will have to ultimately take on responsibility for, and improving some lighting, some of the walkability in the immediate zone there.
But what
So the
about their money they allocate? Because some villages have dial-a-rides and transportation programs. The township has it. Talking about the township's transportation program, what money in it, you know?
Yeah,
Granted, they do sidewalks on the township roads and stuff, and they can do what they do with that. But I mean, have we talked to the township about also funding or helping with funds?
beyond what they're already doing with PACE for the dial-a-ride and the paratransit and stuff, I don't believe there's any additional input from them except on the infrastructure portion.
Because I'm guessing they may be providing dial-ride and transportation in that area specifically right now. To the extent we put this program in, they maybe should allocate those dollars or more to the project. So it'd be something worth talking to them about.
Thank you, Member Krajewski. Member Guston?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I agree. I can't wait to see the outcome of this because we kind of talked about even for our seniors getting from one location to another. There are some ride share programs I know in Naperville, but there really isn't a service like this that actually has some kind of organization to it to see if it's palatable to the users. And have an Uber and Lyft be a part of this, which does take the burden off of the government to some degree and more flexibility to the customer. So I'm anxious to see how this works out. So thank you.
Thank you. Member Ozad?
I also want to especially thank our staff and the great work they did with PACE over this, with this issue. And I've spoken to John Loper and we'll be heading down there to publicize the program and looking forward to it. So I think it's going to be really useful for this neighborhood. Anything else?
Thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Ozak?
Thank you. I move for approval of DTP 005124, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Hay and Associates to provide professional landscape design and construction engineering services for various county highway projects for a contract total not to exceed $150,000, professional services vetted through a qualification-based selection process.
Motion by Member Ozak, second by Member Garcia. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you, Member Ozak. Now,
Thank you.
we move on to finance resolutions, and I will call on Member Krajewski.
Madam Chair, I move on FIR 0203-24, acceptance appropriation of Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus Recycling Education and Outreach Grant for $83,338.
Have a motion by Member Krajewski, a second by Member Guston. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Krajewski?
Madam Chair, I'll move to combine 8B, C, D, which are additional appropriation, acceptance appropriation resolutions.
Okay, I have a motion to combine items B, C, and D by Member Krajewski, second by Member Garcia. All in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. The items are combined. Please proceed, Member
Thank you, Madam
Krajewski.
Chair, I move on FIR 0204-24, additional appropriation for the Children's Waiting Room Fund for $3,623. FIR 0205-24, acceptance appropriation, the Section 5310 Regional Transportation Authority grant in the amount of $607,086 and FIR 0207-24. Acceptance appropriation of additional funding for the low income home energy assistance program grant amount, increasing it from $2,948,471 to $3,298,471, increase of $350,000.
I have a motion by member Krajewski, second by member Garcia. Any discussion on any of these items? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Member Krajewski.
Madam Chair, I move on FIR 0206-24, resolution declaring equipment, inventory, and or property listed on Exhibit A purchased by the DuPage County Sheriff's Office as surplus equipment.
Motion by member Krajewski, second by member Zay. Any discussion on this item? Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Member Krajewski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on FIR 0215-24, reestablishment and additional appropriation of the Special Service Area number 27 for $5,245.
Motion by member Krajewski, second by member Zay. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. Member Krajewski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on FIR 0219-24, resolution rescinding FIR 0191-19, travel business reimbursement regulations.
Motion by member Krajewski, second by member Garcia. Any discussion on this item? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Member Krajewski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on FIR 0218-24, resolution approving reimbursement and payment of expenses not covered by the business travel expense policy.
Motion by member Krajewski, second by member Garcia. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Member Krajewski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on FIR 0208-24, revision to personnel policy manual providing urgent maternal protections for Nursing Mothers Act.
Motion by member Krajewski, second by member Garcia. Any discussion? Member Zay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Do we provide areas for this for nursing mothers?
Chris will come up. Good morning, Chris.
We do. We currently have rooms in several of the bathrooms. Some of them have doors with locks. We also can offer other rooms that have a door with a lock. So, but yes, we do have designated areas currently in the building now. This policy is just updating the updates in the law.
Right.
But we're already
I mean-
compliant with it.
I'm not a mother, but I mean, these don't sound that great. I mean, have we ever thought about looking at getting these pods that they put out that it's a little bit secure and it's not in a bathroom or somewhere else, that we could make it a little nicer and
Well,
not a ton of money. They're like $10,000 each. We can put them in each one of the buildings and it's a little bit, I think, better than going into a bathroom area.
it's something we can look at.
Can we
Yeah.
look into that? Okay.
Thank you, member Zay. Member Garcia. Oh, could, member Krajewski, could you?
Okay, thank you. Yeah, the Public Works, I know, facilities is working on getting a plan together for getting quiet rooms put into the area in 421. So I know that those can be used by nursing mothers. So that's coming down the line.
Okay.
So.
Thank you, member Garcia. Member LaPlante.
Thank you, Chair. I would just like to echo as someone who nursed 4 kids and worked at the same time, you really want an option that's not in a bathroom.
Right. Yeah.
So
It is
just-
separate. The one on this floor is very nice. It is a separate
Mhm.
room with a door and a lock and a
Right.
chair and it's kind of has a lounge feel to it, but I
Right.
understand.
Not even, it's true, just as someone who's been through there, the
Mhm.
gold is when you don't have to be in a bathroom at all.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, member LaPlante. Any, any other questions or discussion on this item? Okay, seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. Member Krajewski.
Madam Chair, I move on FIR 0209-24, revision to personnel policy manual, pregnant workers fairness act.
Motion by member Krajewski, second by member Garcia. Any discussion? Member Zay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Didn't have a lot to do this weekend. You know, I had a question on eligibility. All employees and applicants, why is it we have our eligibility and all these different policies are all different eligibility status. So why is this one and applicants?
Because when people apply for positions and they are onboarding, they can ask for accommodations. So, at times people come in with a condition that will have pregnancy, so they're not technically employees at the time, but they are becoming onboarding as employees. So they are technically applicants during that process. So we would engage with them as well as the actual employees.
Okay. Then the only thing that concerns me here on your procedures is that they have to contact their supervisor or the human resources HR department. I mean, if it's a medical situation, don't HIPAA laws come into effect at that point? Shouldn't they be contacting HR and HR only and not their supervisor?
And that's part of the act that it says that they can notify their supervisor. So we're just reflecting what the act says. But yes, typically we have all confidential information come to us. It's just the Pregnancy Fairness Worker Act allows employees just to verbally display it versus a written notification. That was the reflection of the act. So not that the applicant or employee has to disclose all the sensitive medical nature, but they do indicate they need to exercise their rights.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you, Member Zay. Any further discussion? All in favor? Oh, go ahead, Member Zay.
Oh, I
Continue.
got like 40 of these, right? On number 4, an employee may request leave as reasonable accommodation under the policy. So then if we have this, is work from home one of those possibilities?
It could be, correct. Depending on the position and if that is a reasonable accommodation. Some positions here can and some cannot.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Krajewski?
Madam Chair, I move on FIR 0210-24 revision of personnel policy, personal leave.
Motion by Member Krajewski, second by Member Garcia. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion any discussion? Oh, go ahead, Member Zay.
Just on one here, I mean, can a department head deny this?
For personal leave, yes. If that is a hardship to the operations, it can be denied.
What happens if they're on leave and then there's a hardship in the department? Can they request that person return?
I believe in the policy, there is language in regards to that.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Member Eckhoff. Thank you, Member Zay. Member Eckhoff?
Having a little bit of a hard time following this. Is this 5.5?
Paid leave for all workers, so
It was in reverse order on the agenda. Right, well, so on paragraph 12, it listed that consistent with the county's policy regarding all types of leave, the following conduct is strictly prohibited: engaging in fraud. I thought that would probably always be prohibited. It seemed like 12 should have things that aren't illegal or criminal or something like that, that we're trying to prohibit. Otherwise, you need to list everything. I didn't know what fraud was.
just
Permitted.
falsification of information is what we would consider fraud. That would be an example.
Doesn't that always, I'm sort of nitpicking, but it seems like 12 should list the things that are not illegal or fraudulent or something like that, that are in addition to those things that we don't want people.
Okay.
That's number 1. And then on 13, if somebody is engaged in such conduct as in 12, do we have any clawback provisions to get the benefits back? Should we? I mean, if they committed fraud and we find out about it later and we've already given them benefits, shouldn't we be able to get those benefits back?
I don't think we've done that in the past, but something we can look at.
Well, the whole idea of paragraph 12 is to prohibit that kind of conduct. But if they do it and you've already paid them and you can't get the money back, then it doesn't matter whether or not you caught them.
We'll have
That's
that.
the idea.
I'll have this. Yeah. Oh,
One thing to keep in mind is that this policy is for all county employees. And most of them aren't attorneys. We want to make it as clear as possible to everyone reading it. So sometimes there might be terms that are duplicative that are in a section, just so when the employee goes to that one section, it's really clear for them.
Right, but shouldn't we be able to get back what we pay them if they engage in that type of activity?
I think it depends. I think it depends on the situation.
Well, we don't have any provision for it. So it won't depend on the situation because we can't claw it back.
Well, to your earlier point, if something is illegal or it's in the law, it doesn't have to be in our policy.
Well, because
We
you
can-
list loss of benefits, denial or termination of leave. So if the loss of benefits, but we're already paid them out, it seems like we'd want to claw them back. Anyway, just an idea.
Thank you, Grant.
Got an hour and a half before county boards.
Thank you, member Eckhoff. Any other questions on this? Okay, seeing none, all in favor? Opposed, the motion carries. Member Krajewski.
FIR 0211-24 revision of the personnel policy manual paid leave.
Motion by member Krajewski, second by member Schwarzy. Any questions or discussion on this item? Okay, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Member Krajewski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on FIR 0212-24 revision of personnel policy manual sick leave.
Motion by member Krajewski, second by member Covert. Any discussion? I see member Zay seeking recognition. Go ahead, please, member Zay.
Sorry. Can somebody explain to me this donated sick time? You weren't here yesterday, Chris, so I couldn't call you and bother you.
Okay, so do you have questions or just want to like kind of?
Yeah, I
an
mean, this
overview?
seems like I don't know. It seems like a very sketchy area. I mean, could be extortion, it could be anything. Hey, I'll sell you my sick time for X amount of money and, you know.
It actually is a pretty nice feature of the plan of the policy. And actually it's one that I find that I see kind of good deeds at times done by employees. So when someone goes off on a leave currently, whether it's personal or through family medical leave, they must exhaust their vacation and sick time. Sometimes, depending upon their leave, they may not have enough time to cover all that time off paid. So there is a provision in the policy that allows people to request additional sick time from maybe a pool of sick time that people can donate to. So an application can come through, a form is filled out by the employee that's in need and tells us, you know, I need 2 weeks of time of sick to cover the time off that I'm unable to work. A request goes out from our person that does the leave coordination in our office, and anyone within the county board jurisdiction that's non-union can donate that time, because that's what this policy applies to. So people can, and they don't know who they're, you know, necessarily giving time to or the reason for it. But we do see generous people here that do submit. You can do as little as a day, you can do a week out of your pool of banked sick time. So that time is all received and we keep it organized. And then as it's used, if needed for the employee, then we remove that time from the person that's donating, and then that person is receiving it on the back end. Now note that, yes, there's different rates that people are receiving, and the people receive it at their current rate of pay. So if it's not used, it's retained by the employee. But we have found that it's, you know, not heavily used, but it is used on an ongoing basis.
Okay, and then an employee who gives up donates that time gets no compensation.
No, they
Just
do not.
goodness
It's
of
just
our-
reduced from their bank of time.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, member Zay. Member Schwarzy.
Thank you. We had this policy at the Carroll Spring Fire District when I was there, and it's certainly a benefit when someone gets injured, as a firefighter gets injured off duty, and they might be out for 3 months with a surgery or something like that. So it's beneficial. And the county buys back sick time upon retirement, right?
No, depending on the bank, there's two banks of time. So some of our longer tenure employees do have a cash value to their sick bank, though that's frozen. So that time can be bought back. So there is a bank
So
attendant that
there's
can.
there's a savings for those.
So
people.
there is, and then for employees, after 2011, then there's no cash value, but it does serve as service credit to their pension plan. So there is definitely a
So
value,
when someone donates their sick time, that's potential savings to the.
potentially. Mhm.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Member Schwarzy. Member Tornatori.
I'm glad to hear that receiving the donated time and donated are anonymous.
Correct.
Because
It can be.
otherwise you
Mhm.
could, there could be hard feelings if someone asked for sick time within a group and didn't get it. So as I understand it, the sick time is donated. I wasn't sure. You said upfront, it's in a pool or it's done when
Right,
people ask.
so
I'm not
based
sure.
on a request, yeah, it's based on a request. So there could be a couple requests at the same time. So employees can designate, so if they are aware of, say, a coworker, they could designate that time specifically for someone, or it can go just, you don't have to designate it, so it just goes into kind of a pool, whoever's requesting it at that time to receive that. So it can really go either way.
And if somebody who needs the sick time is making $25 an hour and the person who's donating it makes $20 an hour, the sick time is donated at $20 an hour.
It's the employee being paid receives their current rate of pay. So it could be someone higher giving to someone lower or vice versa. But that employee, if I'm making $25 an hour, then I receive my sick pay at my current rate of pay. So,
Not the donated person's current.
no, we don't use the donated person's time.
Okay, thank you.
Their rate of pay,
Thank you.
correct? Yeah.
Thank you, Member Tornatori. Member Krajewski.
You said sort of anonymous.
It can be anonymous.
So do you send something out, somebody needs the sick time, do you put something out that all the employees know that there's somebody that's in need of it?
Yes, we just say that we've received requests
so
for
that they-
donated sick time, and it's out anonymously, whether people talk,
Sure,
that
no, I
can
understand,
happen.
but at least,
Yeah.
I mean,
We
but they're,
do not.
so somebody will know that somebody needs it, that's why, otherwise they have no idea if they give it away.
Correct, yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Okay. Oh, Member Yu, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was actually very excited to see this policy proposal. This is something that we also did. It was a sick leave bank over at Legal Assistance Foundation in Chicago. It was something negotiated by our union attorneys. And it really did benefit a lot of different people. Again, it was a sick leave bank, which meant that people just decided on their own if they wanted to donate a day or half a day to help other members of the organization. So I think this is a great thing for our employees.
Okay, great. Thank you, Member Yu.
Just to be clear on this is an existing policy. We've made some just modifications to. So the good news is it is already in place and we have been using it, but we have just wanted to put some clarification to it. So there was just some slight modification to it. So, but yes, it is a great part of our sick time pay.
Okay, are we good with the questions? Okay, all right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Krajewski.
Thank you, Madam Chair, I move on FIR 0213-24 revision personnel policy, family medical leave.
Motion by Member Krajewski, second by Member Garcia. I see Member Evans singing recognition. Go ahead, please. Oh, does somebody have, members Krajewski and, yeah. Okay, I'll have Member Evans go and then Member
Okay, I got it.
Tornatori.
I got it. So.
Okay, go ahead,
Okay.
Member Evans.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I actually don't have a problem with this part. However, there are parts that I would like revised for the parenting time policy, and it would affect this one. So I don't know if we want to discuss both at the same time or.
Could we do that? We could, yeah, that's fine. I think it's a good idea to do it that way. If they're
Okay.
going to both be interchanged, yes.
Okay, so I'm so excited that we do have a parenting time policy that we're proposing. And I talked to Chris yesterday And I just think that we need some discussion on what the parenting time policy should look like. And I received an email from you, from Madam Chair, that I really agree with. I really think that we need to maybe do a little bit of tweaking of this policy. I don't like that if there's two employees that are having, they're either married or in a relationship, they only get one parenting time benefit. I think each of them earned it and they should both get it. And I also think that 12 weeks after exhausting the sick leave and vacation, it makes it incentivizes an employee to use up all their vacation time before having the baby. So, and it penalizes anybody who's been a long-term employee that has a very large bank of sick leave or vacation. So I would like to pass it today, but I really don't like the way it is. So I'm going to leave it for other people to discuss, but I think that we could stand to change it a little bit and maybe put the vacation on the back end, maybe give 8 weeks of paid leave. And then if they want more, then they can use their sick leave and vacation time. Thank you.
Well, can we have a little discussion before we table, or because I think it's important that we discuss. So yeah, thank you. I'm going to just make a couple comments real quick. So I did send out to all the members a revised policy with strikes and additions. The point of those strikes and additions were to make the policy more adaptable to the needs of the family. I know that the federal family leave policy allows for 12 weeks of paid leave without using vacation or sick time. More and more private companies are also paying 12 weeks of paternity leave without using vacation and sick time. And that leave is allowed to be used anytime within that 12-month period. If both parents are getting 12 weeks of pay, it makes sense that they can use it throughout that 12 months, because one parent could use their 12 weeks, then the next parent could use their 12 weeks, and what a great benefit it is to that family. And as our circuit clerk always says, we want this policy to be family friendly and to make sure that parents and kids come back healthy, and that we are supporting those goals. We want to have our parents healthy. We want to have our kids healthy. It's a great recruitment tool. We have trouble recruiting here. If we were to make these few little tweaks and do that, I think it's a great incentive. Also, if we have people use their sick time in this 12-week period, when you have a new baby, or I never adopted a baby, but I can sure it's similar, you have doctor appointments. The baby sometimes gets sick that first year. You're going to need that vacation and sick time throughout the rest of the year as well. So I would like to see that. And I completely agree. We have two parents that work at the county, or two spouses that work at the county. Their vacation time isn't split between the two of them. I mean, why would we split their parental time? So those are some of mine. I don't know if any of you had an opportunity to look at those. But I would suggest, that we go through it, because I think if we do this policy, we want it to be a very good policy. And I don't have a copy of the circuit clerk's policy, but I would, Member Garcia, you have it. That might be something, a framework to work off as well. But now, I'm sorry, I just want to go on. So Member Galassi, go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. And I did read your email, and I also Lucy, Member Evans email, and I do definitely agree that it does feel strange to me that it's one or the other parent, when if they're both employees, they should both benefit from that. So I am in full agreement on that. And then as far as whether you have to use your vacation and sick time before this kicks in, I also agree that it is potentially incentivizing people in the wrong way. And I know in Member Evans' email, she said that, it's going to be more disruptive if parents are taking all this vacation time before they have their child or adopt a baby, and and then they're taking this paid leave because it's just adding on more potential time off work. So I agree that it isn't a proper way to incentivize our employees. And I guess depending on how we would want to do this, whether we just give them the 12 weeks, or I did like Member Evans' suggestion of having potentially 8 weeks off. And then if you want to use your vacation time for those additional 4 weeks, you can, but that way we're incentivizing people to use it at the right time and to their own discretion. I guess a question I would have is, has there been any sort of analysis done in DuPage County just to see like what the average employer is giving? Is it 8 weeks? Is it 12 weeks? I mean, I'm sure it's all over the board, but
It
is there a?
Yeah, there is no standard. I can say, I don't know within DuPage, but we did look within Illinois. We kind of had to go broad to find comparables. There is no consistent pattern is what we found. We found some giving, depending upon like adoption for 2 weeks up to, depending how you had the child, could be 4 weeks or 6 weeks. We saw some that gave full 12 weeks without using time. That was Cook County, or no, City of Chicago. We saw some doing front end a couple weeks and then having people use the balance. We just saw a lot of inconsistent. So there is no rhyme or reason, kind of, it's just different methodologies of decisions and recommendations. We, tried to make it a very plentiful policy, but we followed. So since there really wasn't, any direction we could go, we ended up using the model of what we currently do for FMLA. So that is anytime that someone is off for their own personal medical reason, which maternity currently falls under, that is how it works currently. Or someone that's applying for a paternity leave, that they must use their time first in that leave, at least for people with medical conditions, the first 30 days. Then they go on to disability if eligible for a 50% coverage. So that was kind of our philosophy or logic to start the conversation with this parental time and have some kind of controls in place, because we know how the FMLA model works for employees that they're currently under. But obviously we're open to hearing what the board's wishes are.
Okay. Yeah. Just to summarize my thoughts, I definitely think each employee, if employed here, should get the same benefit, not one or the other. And I do think that it is important that we are giving this as a leave, whether it's the full 12 weeks or the 8 weeks, like Member Evan suggested, before they're required to use their sick pay. Because I do think, I mean, all of us, or those of us having children, you need some flexibility, whether it's your own, personal health you need to take care of in that first year, or the child's health. Like, you need to have some flexibility to go to doctor's appointments or stay home for a sick day. So those are my thoughts. And I did like what your suggestion was, Chair, that if you do have 2 employees that are employed here, that they can take them at different times throughout the first year. So.
Thank you, Member Galassi. I believe Member Tronatori, then Member Ozog, Member Garcia. Okay. Oh, okay, and then Member Yu. So Member Tronatori, and then Member Zay and Member Krajewski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I agree with Member Evans. I do think that the way it's written, it does incentivize taking the sick time off first, which I think could be problematic. Just to be clear, FMLA is unpaid leave.
It is unpaid leave,
The
but
chair said it was paid.
our,
and I wanna
but
make
our
sure.
policy does
The
have.
parental leave is paid.
Mhm,
That's the
correct.
difference. Okay,
I
so-
misspoke, I'm sorry.
All right, and
Yeah.
I just wanted to be sure, because that leads to my question, that if we have a parental time policy which gives up to 12 weeks of paid time off, and FMLA, which is 12 weeks of unpaid time off, and it says that they will run concurrently. Concurrently means together. So what would be someone's benefit to taking FMLA and getting unpaid leave when they could take parental time and get paid leave, since you can only get 12 weeks anyhow? You can't do 12 and 12.
Right, so that's why it runs concurrently, kind of like workers' comp currently runs concurrently with family medical leave. It's just placing someone on a leave status, whether it's a family medical leave or a personal leave if they've exhausted or.
Well, I'm not
if they
talking
have
about
a job.
personal leave. I'm talking about somebody who has a child or adopts a child, whatever the case might be. There's 12 weeks out there for those parents to get time off. Under our parental time policy, they can get it paid.
Mhm.
Then they can't get FMLA after that because it would not then run concurrently,
Yeah.
correct?
Well, that's why we call it parental time versus a parental leave on our policy, because we wanted to run concurrently with family medical leave. That was our thought.
So you can get more than 12 weeks?
No, it would run the same as 12 weeks. Yes, you, within that 12 weeks, you're receiving paid paternal time
Okay,
while on FMLA. Yeah, it's just, you're in a non-working status.
Yeah, and no, and if just, I was sidebarring here with Barb, and if I can, so family leave can be used for many different reasons. Paternity leave is specifically just for pregnancy, right? So if having a child. So, but family medical leave could be used for, a broken leg or a bad illness, taking care of your sick parent, taking care of a, sick child, taking care of a sick parent. So
you
that's the
can
difference.
so you can have a child and take 12 weeks paid time off and then have an injured parent and take 12 weeks of unpaid time under FMLA. Is that correct?
Well, our FMLA policy and the FMLA allows the employer to designate whether or not the employee takes their accrued time. Our policy, so FMLA could be paid. If you have accrued time, you are required to use it before you go on unpaid status. So when you go
No,
on.
you really muddied the water. That really threw me off.
Before you go unpaid on FMLA, you have to use your accrued sick and vacation time up.
Yes, and that's member Evans's point. That's the topic for discussion. My question is that are there, again, my example is you have a child, you can take up to 12 weeks off paid leave under the parental time policy. 6 months later, you have a sickly parent. May you then take up to 12 weeks off under FMLA unpaid?
No.
Yes or no?
No. You've already used your FMLA when it was run concurrently with the paid family.
Okay, thank you. That's the answer to the question.
And there was also an indication that the federal government gives 12 weeks paid. I believe the federal government's policy says that it can be substituted for unpaid FMLA. So if you use up your paid time on FMLA, then you go unpaid, the parental policy will kick in for the remainder.
Now you're talking about paid FMLA, which is not what I saw in the guidelines. It was very specific. It said unpaid FMLA. I can show it to you. It's right here. It says FMLA is unpaid. That's what I received. It said eligibility is full-time or 1,250 hours. And eligible employees entitled to 12 weeks of unpaid leave. That's under the family medical leave provision. So when you're telling me it's paid, you're throwing me off here.
No, if you have accrued vacation or sick time, you are required to use that before you go unpaid.
All right, but we're still talking about that. That's what member Evans first brought up. So, okay, so the most you can get is 12 is the bottom line.
Yeah, and just to be clear, I'm sorry, I misspoke at the beginning. It's the Federal Employee Paid Leave Act grants eligible federal employees up to 12 weeks of paid parental leave for both birth, adoption, or foster placement of a child. Employees may take less time if they choose, but up to 12 weeks will be fully paid without using accrued vacation or sick time. So, and I think that's how our clerk's policy, I think that's.
Yeah, that's 5.13.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, just because I did misspeak.
5.9 is unpaid.
Yeah, I just didn't, I just want to clarify what I misspoke. So thank you for pointing that out. Okay, now I have member Ozog. Okay, member Garcia?
Yes, thank you so much. I do have first of all, thank you for doing all the work on this. I appreciate that. As we've done a lot of research, the first year of a child's life is so important for the parental bond, to get that. And I'm looking, at the circuit clerk's, new policy that she put into place last year. And I'm not seeing that they have to take, the earned sick and compensatory time prior to parental time pay. So I'm thinking that we need to be consistent throughout our county campus because we want to make sure that all of our staff have the same benefits. I'm not seeing there, it looks like they have to take FMLA, but that's not, they don't have to take the earned vacation sick and compensatory time first or before they take the parental time. So I think that we need to do a change, which is letter D in the guidelines that you submitted to us for ours. So I don't know if we can change that. So it's just, and quick question on FMLA, because I've been on it before.
Yeah.
You almost have to take FMLA when you leave a position to get the old position back. Isn't that something that you have to take
It
that?
does ensure job protection. So
Correct.
correct, it has to be at the same level. You know, you have
Right,
to.
so you have to almost take that when you take any kind of leave, whether it be parental leave or anything else, to ensure that you're gonna come back.
For
to the
job
same position.
protection, correct.
Correct,
And
okay.
yeah, and just so you know, the state's attorney also has a parental paid time policy that it does differ from the circuit court clerks. So
Okay.
we do have a couple different policies. I'd
I
say.
wish we could get them all consistent for all of our staff so that wherever you work on this county campus, they would have the same benefits. So that's something I hope we can work on.
Yeah,
So
and thank you. And so just a couple of thoughts real quick before I call on other people. But if we do keep the policy, or if we do put, make it 8 weeks with paid, then you have to use paid vacation time. I think we have to clarify that it's not 12 weeks paid. I mean, you have to clarify that because then it's misleading in recruiting and it's kind of misleading in the time off. I think it'd be 8 weeks paid, but then using your accrued vacation time or however we do it. I think that definitely needs to be changed. If we do anything like that. And as far as consistent throughout the county, that would be great, but independent elected officials can put in policies that they want for their office. So depending on, what that elected official, how they want to do it, it's really up to them. We can encourage it, but we can't, make them. I know,
Yeah.
I wish to, right? We wish to. So, okay,
And to
Thank you.
that point too, we did think about the size, the scope, circuit court clerk is a large office, but the county board jurisdiction is larger and, as well as the state's attorney. So in looking at, we kind of looked also at the scope of the level of employees that could be potentially benefiting from our policy too. So.
Okay.
And just to
Thank-
dovetail on what she's saying, so based on job responsibilities of particular office, like our office is smaller, the state's attorney has discretion to award additional time when people come back. Based on what people have talked about, if you have a sick child or something like that, yes, additional sick time or whatever is needed. So, but our office is smaller, and like the employees and the size of what, each office has varies, and that's why we do have to be tweaked.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to call a member to start and then member Krajewski, because remember, I did not see her. And member you too is on my list. Yes.
Thank you. Normally, member Childress blocks me, but this time I'm like,
I'm sorry. It's so
okay.
good to
So
see
my
that corner.
question is kind of similar to member Tornatore, and that is that I feel like we're talking about an ideal pregnancy, and unfortunately things go wrong. My nephew suffered from meconium aspiration, and my grandson was born months early. He was a real preemie. So I guess my question is, do the 12 weeks have to be taken contiguously, or can you spread it out? For example, a mom stays in the hospital for a week, the dad takes a week, the mom takes a week, or does it have to be all be contiguous?
It does say continuous in there, but it doesn't really define what continuous is. I mean, I don't think they want it to be an intermittent day here, day there type of policy, but that's something, because it's new, I think that this has, like every policy and every, guideline we have, as we put it into motion, we'll see kind of the need and how it works and what you know, how the board sees that this would be successful. But I think the intention is to take it in blocks of time.
Okay, and I would guess that you would just ask your supervisor if that's possible,
I
if that
would-
occurs.
I would think operationally would be key. Yeah,
Right, right.
correct.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Member Desart. Member Krajewski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I agreed with many of the comments regarding if two people work here together. I exclude that, doesn't seem right, but there seems like there's an awful lot of questions and members have a lot of different thoughts on this. It seems like this one needs to be reworked a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not sure, come back with a few options of what the cost may be, but it sounds like there's an awful lot of people that would like to have some tweaks to it. So I would suggest that we at least look at this.
Yeah, I think the plan, I think we're going to do is postpone it until the next meeting and then have it as the first item on the agenda for discussion. I spied sidebars with Barb and that's what she suggested. So, but I just want to get some thoughts right now so we can give staff some kind of direction or have people have opportunities to send in their ideas. And yeah, and I'll let people give a chance to talk and then we'll move on. But we do have a few minutes so between meetings. So Member Zay, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And, you know, I'm all for promoting, you know, families and adoption. I'm just concerned about the other employees who are setting up this special group. How do we go to a parent who has a very sick child and saying, you know what, I have to be off because he's got this serious illness, but you don't qualify it because it's not, you can only take FMLA at that point. And I can't do anything like that. And we still have to worry about the other employees. And that's the only thing that when we talk about two parents not being off, I know the federal does that, but large corporations don't do that. They make the employees split. If it's 6 and 6 or 8 and 4, whatever they do on the leave, the dad takes that, whatever. I mean, ultimately, we have to worry about operations too. That's why I think it has to be continuous because you just can't come back and say, I'm going to be back for 2 weeks and then, you know, I'm going to be off for 3 and I'm going to be back on 2 after that.
Right. And yeah.
And then the last thing is that the parental time at the end, we don't have anything if the employee fails to return from leave. What happens? Okay, parents do this. Hey, I've been home. I just don't want to come back. I'm happy being a mom or a dad or whatever. And what recourse do we have? What then, if they don't come back after 2 days, is the job abandoned at that point? I mean, what happens? Do we have recourse to get that money back at that point?
We currently don't have language in regards to that, no.
If I may just made it, you know, I did read in, I just looked up the IBM policy because that's the one I'm familiar with. But IBM's policy says if you, to get your pay, you have to come back and work 12 weeks. So, you know, so if they didn't come back and work those 12 weeks, I don't know how we would claw back. I don't know if you could claw it back, but I know that's in their policy. So we could.
Right. We don't have anything in there. I mean, that could be
Right.
something that could be added. It
We
says
could-
you have to come back for
Whatever,
a
so,
12-week
right.
period or whatever.
Right, right.
I
Exactly.
mean, same thing like when we pay for people to get higher education, they have to stay a certain amount of time.
Exactly.
Refund the county on that. So
Right. And that, right. And so I think that's something that we could work into the policy as well, you know, that we bring back in a couple of weeks. Okay. Did you have any other questions, Member Zay? Okay, so I have Member Yu, Member Galassi, and then Member Evans again. Okay, Member Yu, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I think, yes, there was some confusion earlier on about FMLA and it's actually being unpaid at 12 weeks. And it's really more about job protection. That was the intent of the federal statute. At my prior job, this was something that we also did. And I know that Member Evans and other people have stated about the issue of having to use sick time and vacation time ahead of time, but because FMLA is unpaid, many employees actually were open to the fact that they had to use this so that they could have paid time. By using their sick and vacation time first, they were able to use that as paid so that they were continuing to receive income, and then to have that FMLA, and that was more about job protection, then they would use the FMLA thereafter for those 12 weeks. I think the concurrent part, though, is the thing that's confusing me. And in my prior position, the parental leave was actually after the FMLA ended. And so then it was paid 12 weeks of parental leave after the fact. So I don't know if that's something to consider or if that is just not, an option for the county at this time. But I do think it's important to mention that the consecutive parental leave, it does actually say that you have to take it consecutively. And I'm wondering, again, if intermittently it would be the better language choice that's really necessary there. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Yu, and then Member Galassi.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I actually appreciate what Member Zay just said, that, if we are offering this potentially 3 months of paid, they should be required to come back for a certain period of time. So I'm curious, in IBM's policy, was the pay withheld until they completed those 12 weeks?
I have to look at it. I have the link to it, or I can look it up and see, and we can send that in to staff. But I sent it to Member Schwartz. So let me look up what I can see here. But it did say that they, I think it said, let's see here if I can find it. I would assume maybe it was at the end then that they paid them, and I don't know if that would be beneficial or not.
I mean, that could put some financial hardship on people
That
if they're not
could,
getting
right.
paid for those 3 months, but
Right.
I do think we need to protect ourselves against, I mean, I have to say, I wasn't paid when I took time off, but I fully intended on going back to work.
Right.
And then I had my child and there was no chance that was happening. So I
Exactly.
think people do have good intentions, and then things change.
Absolutely.
And so I think, just to protect ourselves, I think this is an important benefit, but to just be paying people that for 3 months that don't end up coming back isn't in our best interest either. So.
Yeah, and I think that's something we can work into the policy too. So thank you very much. And then Member Evans, I think, and then we'll close the discussion. So go ahead, Member Evans.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I really love that everyone has been so supportive of this policy. And it sounds like we want to change it, maybe come back, but I would like to move to make it retroactive to today, because whenever we pass it in 2 weeks, because we have some very beloved employees that have babies imminent, and I would love for them to be able to benefit from this policy.
Yes, and is that something we can do for the he doesn't see why we couldn't. So yes, so we'll incorporate all that because when we come back in 2 weeks. Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yeah, we've done it with, so we've done with races. So good point, Member Evans. Okay, so I think we've had some good discussion. I think we can send in, we can maybe come and visit with you, sit in, maybe those of you that have ideas, Member Tornatori.
Just the clawback, as it's been called, provision. I don't know how you can do
Yeah,
that.
I don't know.
Because people have to have worked here for a
A year.
specific period of time in order to get this benefit.
Mhm.
You can't take away something
Yeah.
that they're entitled to.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you could ever get that money back if someone decides not to come back, because contractually, you've said, if you work here, we're gonna give you this.
That's right.
You
That's
then
right.
can't change your mind.
That's
As
right.
to not paying them during that 12-week period of time, that's borderline. People can't pay their bills for
Right.
3
No,
months if
yes,
they don't
absolutely.
get paid. So I don't think that that's a benefit. So I think it's one of those, my wife became a principal for 12 weeks for somebody who went on parental leave, and the principal never came back, and she ended up staying there for the rest of the year, but he left and he got
Yeah.
paid.
Yeah, and
So it is what it is. If you're here, if you have to be here a specific period of time, I don't see how you can ask
Yeah.
somebody to give you the money.
no, that is true. He is right. And I know, and Member Glass, I had the exact same experience that you did. I was gonna go back and I didn't. So, yeah. Go ahead, Member Glassy. Oh, your microphone, please.
How is that different than like college reimbursement? If we can require people to stay for a certain period of time, if you're getting reimbursed for college, how is this different?
We don't.
You don't require people to stay?
No, there's no retention of years after the tuition reimbursement.
to that point, first of all, we don't have a requirement where if we pay for college, you have to stay. And I will go a step further that we have union contracts where you pay some benefits upfront, like sick or vacation time, they accrue it upfront. And we have had members over the years, receive that upfront, they take their sick or vacation, they leave partway through the year. So theoretically, they're negative. And unless if we can do it on that paycheck, we don't go after them. So going after and trying to claw it back if you don't have that capability is almost impossible.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like you're doing a lawsuit at that point.
Yeah.
So in
that's true.
reality, you're not able to claw it back.
Okay, thank you, Nick. Member Ozog and then Member Garcia.
Thank you, Madam Chair. A question that hasn't been brought up or answered, and I appreciate all the discussion, is about how many maternity, paternity leaves do we have a year for the 2,000 approximate employees?
Okay. I did look at that, so thank you for
Aha.
asking that.
Well, I think it's an important
It
question
is,
in
it
terms of
is.
what
So-
we're dealing with.
Yeah, so to date, as of 2024, we've had 4 people between FMLA and PLOA leaves go on maternity leave, 6 on paternity. Last year, we had 13 people on maternity leave, and this is county board jurisdiction of our employees, and then 5 paternity leaves.
Okay.
And then even the year prior in 22 was 12 maternity leaves and 6 paternity leaves.
So
Now
we're
that-
looking at under 20. in general.
Potentially, however, there may be parents that, had children that just used vacation time that may exercise it. So it may be a little bit bigger number because it's hard to capture all of those numbers because not everyone requests a
Right.
paternity, leave, especially on the paternity leave side. You might have a parent that that the birth parent is not here, so we don't know, and they're just saved 2 weeks of vacation and they may exercise it. So it would be a little larger.
I
would
think they
guess.
should be forced to take paternity leave. I'm just saying.
I agree.
No, that's great, but we're not going to have.
But it is in the scope of our total employee number, it is under 20, more or less.
Yes,
So-
that's what we've
Okay,
been
thank you.
running. Yes.
Yeah, we're not, half of our staff is not going to be taking advantage of this policy, I don't think. So,
Thank you.
yeah, thank you. And then, who else did I miss? Oh, Member Garcia, I'm sorry.
And just one last question for clarification, to be eligible for paternity or whatever, parental leave, we'll call it. They do have to have worked so much to even
Yes.
earn that.
Correct.
So if they get it, they've been an employee here, they've been working
Yeah.
for quite a
Correct. We did
while.
put eligibility requirements in it of a year. Again, we mirrored the family medical leave guidelines on that.
Right.
So yes,
So someone couldn't be hired pregnant and then take this leave.
you
right?
have to be here so much
Yes.
time
Okay.
prior to that. They can
Okay.
take a personal leave, it just would be.
So that's why I'm not really in favor of this clause.
No, I
Because
agree.
I believe that they've actually earned this
That's right.
leave. So
It's an earned benefit, just like you wouldn't if somebody went on vacation and they didn't come back, you wouldn't
No.
claw back their vacation.
No.
So I think we've had some very good discussion. We will sit down with staff and maybe, send in our recommendations. Yeah. We'll have, so if I can have somebody, make a motion on 8N and 8O to table both of those until our November.
FIR 0212.
November 26th meeting.
FIR 021324 to table till next board meeting.
Okay. Motion by Member
November
Krajewski to table.
26th.
Oh, well, Member Krajewski just read the whole thing. And then second by Member Garcia. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you very much. Like I said, I enjoyed, that was very good discussion. And just to reiterate, I think when we do this, again, we just want to make it the best possible plan for the parents and the baby and a healthy outcome for everybody. So we'll move on to informational with Member Krajewski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to receive and place on file A, A, payment of claims, B, appointments, and C, grant proposal notifications.
Okay, we have Member Krajewski moved. Do I have a second? second by member Garcia, to receive and place and file items A, B, C, and D under informational. All those in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. We now have our presentation from our DuPage County Health Department. Thank you so much for sitting through our meeting and being so patient. But we're going to welcome Adam Forker up here today.
Is that the one? Got it. Okay. Wonderful. Okay, so I think I have a few slides and I promise I will be quick and get to your questions will be the goal with the time that we have. But I have a few things I want to share up front. It's coming. Wonderful. Thank you. So good morning. Thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here with you today as we look forward to celebrating at the Health Department our 80th anniversary in 2025. And what a year it's going to be. And I'm excited to bring you our 80th budget before this board. The milestone for us represents 80 years of public service to the community and reflects the support of so many different partners across the county. The vision and investment provided by both residents and community leaders has enabled our organization to lead on many key health issues and doing our part to help DuPage be the healthiest county in the state of Illinois. Next slide. Do I have it? Oh, there we go.
Okay.
Okay. So I won't go through our entire 80-year history for you this morning. But I will say throughout our history, we've been a very nimble and adaptive agency. We've been responsive to our community's needs. So from our point of establishment via referendum in 1944 through everything we've done since then, dealing with threats of polio, dealing with care gaps in mental and dental health services, launching our WIC program, responding to various emerging infectious diseases like HIV, West Nile, swine flu, to our work implementing the ACA through the COVID pandemic, of course. We've consistently demonstrated our ability to adapt to the community's needs. Now, the work, of course, is only made possible through the support of the Board of Health, County Board, and our community partners. We are honored to continue this work as we march into 2025, showing again how we will flex to meet the moment and stand ready to meet the needs of our residents as we address the increasing mental health and substance use needs of our residents with the opening of the Crisis Recovery Center next summer. So I'll just spend a few minutes highlighting some of the programs in 2025, essentially giving you a glimpse of what this budget that we're proposing supports. What activities are we supporting with this budget? So first I want to talk about how at least once every 5 years, the Health Department conducts a comprehensive and official assessment of the health of DuPage County residents. And 2025 is an assessment year. Our team, with many different community partners across healthcare and other CBOs, we do a deep dive on the data. Quantitative, qualitative analysis to identify the top health trends and threats among our residents. Then we collectively craft an action plan to address the health needs identified in that process. So we at the Health Department lead that work in our role as a chief health strategist for the community. We facilitate it through this Impact DuPage program you see here, and the output of that work also helps us and community partners secure grant funding and bring additional dollars down to the local level. One example, our assessment work often highlights the need for work across sectors to focus on prevention, which of course is a cornerstone of public health. And so this example here, our DuPage County Prevention Leadership Team, it was formed in 2011 as a result of the assessment process at that time. And according to recent Illinois Youth Survey data, we have observed some positive trends and reductions in youth substance use over the past 10 years while doing this work. And during this time, our team has secured more than $3.2 million in state and federal grants to support the continuation of this work. Our team is incredibly active in supporting optimal respiratory health. Whether we are proactively educating residents about healthy lifestyles, or we're supporting access to vaccinations, or we're responding to outbreaks of infectious disease in real time. It's all these different ways that we're supporting respiratory health. Now, vaccination, of course, continues to be one of the most effective ways to prevent serious illness, especially among higher risk populations like young children, older adults, and those with underlying health conditions. So here you see an example of a digital ad campaign we're running, which seeks to reach specific demographic groups at highest risk. And with a new $1 million grant from Illinois Department of Public Health in fiscal year 25 and 26, we'll be strengthening our efforts for outbreak response in high-risk settings, such as long-term care facilities in DuPage. And we'll enhance our reporting capabilities. You can see that kind of stuff that we do, related data, recent DuPage trends at our website's respiratory illness dashboard, available to the public. Now, maternal and child health programming remains of critical importance to the public's health. This is one of the single greatest investments we can make as a community. Ensuring access to quality prenatal care can reduce infant and maternal mortality, improve healthcare costs, and build healthier communities. So commend the discussion and the work towards a policy for our workforce as well. At the health department, though, we operate a handful of different programs supporting maternal and child health. One highlight in this budget includes a new state grant of more than $600,000 in the next fiscal year to expand the current services and launch a doula program for the first time, which will support pregnant residents with access to care through their prenatal and postpartum visits. There is much work to be done supporting equitable and high quality care for all young families in DuPage. I'm incredibly proud of our team's efforts to help support those care gaps. In the last few years, our environmental health team has been doing great prevention work themselves on key issues such as childhood drowning, which is unfortunately a much more common outcome in the US than many might think, but it is also entirely preventable. The photo you're looking at here is from an event we hosted at the FMC Natatorium in Westmont this summer. A beautiful facility. It was part of our Protect Swimmers Day and our Protect Swimmers 10 million program to raise awareness and educate the community members about water safety. In FY25, we're proud to continue and expand this work. We got federal funding yet again from the US Consumer Product Safety Commission, totaling more than $378,000. So our team has recently expanded this program statewide. We're now providing access to swim lessons at public facilities so that more children can access that equitably and develop these essential life skills. Increasingly, we're recognizing the connection between oral health and overall health. Since launching dental coordination services in 1985, this program's continued to expand. We now include dental services for uninsured and underinsured residents through our urgent dental clinic here in Wheaton and through our Smile Squad mobile clinic, which travels throughout the county to deliver services to school-age children. FY25, we're continuing to invest in this program and partner with more community partners as we work to assure everybody has access to this essential care. And of course, access to mental health and substance use treatment is a top priority for our residents in our community. It requires strategic and significant investment to transform the system. The Crisis Recovery Center will play a crucial role in helping community members access the care when they need it most. CRC will be the keystone element in our system goal of ensuring that any individual in DuPage County experiencing a behavioral health crisis has someone to call, someone to respond, and very soon, somewhere to go. So while you've heard much about the CRC plans, you've heard me say that lots of times, today the focus is really on the related financial strategies as part of our overall budget associated with opening the center in 2025. So let's get into a little bit more of the numbers and the details. Our core budget is balanced just under $61 million. That doesn't include CRC construction or operations, capital projects, or our grant applications placeholder. We'll talk about that in a minute. But our core budget is balanced at about 61 million. Does include the new grant funding, the support for the programs I just described, but it also includes expansions to existing programs such as the 988 call center. So for instance, we've continued to see an increase in those calls. We've continued to demonstrate that our team can handle those calls. And so the state has increased that grant award. Now, final CRC construction is estimated to be supported by about $5 million in health department fund balance next fiscal year, as is an estimated $4.8 million in a partial year of CRC operational costs. So overall, when the CRC capital projects, grant application placeholder, that's all worked back in, our global budget is balanced at just over 135 million. So the last thing on here you can see is that both the program expansions and notably the opening of the CRC will drive significant hiring in FY25 as well. So you should have received our digital budget books last week, several hundred pages of detail. Both members of our finance team and myself can be available over the next several days to answer any more detailed questions you might have as you have more time to review that. I believe the three key themes here, and when you look at just our high level overall budget, that it is year to year, it's mostly flat, which especially considering the significant shifts we're seeing, the considerable decline in pandemic related ARPA spending is then offset by increases in those new programs I've talked about and the CRC operations coming online. Opening of the CRC in late summer creates an estimated $2.5 million gap in revenue versus expense on the operational side. So that's the second theme. But the third is that despite that operational shortfall, the budget is balanced with use of health department funds. So we believe a $2.5 million operational gap is a conservative yet realistic forecast based on what we know today. But let's take a closer look at a few of our key strategies for financial sustainability that we'll be looking at. First, we've taken steps to further develop our 501c3 arm, DuPage Health Matters, for much more expansive and significant use in 2025 and beyond. We appreciate the support with these efforts from community leaders, including many of you, and I'm optimistic about this being one successful component of our overall approach. We have many local partners who share our goals associated with mental and behavioral health care access, and who we are looking to for some financial support with this transformative work. We are in discussions with partners about possible contributions now. We're also doing a lot of work, mostly through Lori Carnahan's efforts with state agency leaders, but with Lori working together with Dennis Brennan and our lobbyists on potential legislative opportunities. There's a lot that we are doing and will be doing to both grow and modernize Illinois' financing of the system of behavioral health care. So we've studied this. We've seen how they do it in other states. It works. We have strong support from leaders in Illinois to bring those types of changes to the system here. And finally, the health department will prioritize our revenue cycle management opportunities. So currently we routinely and successfully bill Medicaid and Medicare, but we are looking to expand our practice to include private and commercial insurances as feasible as well. So that'll be a big component of the work that we're taking on right now and in the next couple of years. So I'm trying to speed through this, but this is my final slide, I promise. So really where we're landing, we're confident in our ability to tackle the financial challenges related to the CRC. We have planned for this. This is not a surprise, and we stand in a strong financial position as an organization. Over this 80-year history, and especially the past 2 decades, we've successfully navigated a lot of uncertainty in similar situations. We continue to be highly adaptable, responding not only to the community's health needs, but to the business environment. And I think our track record speaks well of this. So whether it's establishing a centralized business infrastructure that enabled medical billing in the first place for us about 20 years ago, or building the Linda Kurzweil Community Center debt-free 10 years ago, or the merging of the psychological services department from the county in 2017, there's many examples across our history of our business and service agility. The psych services example, I will call out for just a moment. It did create a temporary $1 million budget gap when we took that on. Made a lot of sense to do it operationally. It's better for both of our organizations. It's better for the residents who need that care. But we addressed that gap in a very similar manner, using fund balance temporarily, figuring out what we could bill for and how, and bringing home every grant we could through competitive grant writing processes. And so in the same way, I see us using a combination of bridge strategies in the first couple of years of CRC operations. We'll move on that sustainable glide path, we'll incorporate it in our annual budget, and we'll do all of that while simultaneously improving access to healthcare and healthcare costs in our community. So I believe our 80-year history speaks very well to our commitment to this community, and I look forward to working together to continue building an even healthier community for generations to come.
Okay, great.
We'll
Well,
have for
Adam,
questions.
thank you so much for that presentation. We're going to start with some questions. So I have a list here. So I have Member Ozog, Member Rutledge, Member Desart, Member Galassi, and Member Cahill. So Member Ozog, go ahead, please.
Thank you so much. You were speaking even faster than I do when I give the transportation reports. Thank you so much. But can you be sure to send this to us?
Yes.
The PowerPoint presentation?
Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot that I'd like to have a look at, especially the history. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Great job.
Thank you, Member Ozog. Member Rutledge.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you, Adam, for your presentation this morning. We haven't had an update for a while. It might be a state's attorney's question, but pardon me. Where are we in the opioid settlements?
Sure. Our portion, about a year ago, this board supported about $850,000 worth of opioid settlement funding allocated to the health department, which was actually for this fiscal year, so we could ramp up that hiring. And we have done that. That was going to support about 17 different positions, everything from peer specialists to psych nurses. We've hired 16 of those 17 positions with that money this year. So we do have a good head start. I can get you a specific accounting, but we're close to spending most of that allocation.
And I guess my question is more going forward, where are we at? Do you expect more disbursements from those settlements and?
I would say that is more of a question for the state's
Okay.
attorney. Those are
I
ongoing
might be-
conversations that are, those are opportunities that we can discuss further. Right now, we're not seeking any additional money from that for CRC at this point.
Great. Any other questions, Member Rutledge? Okay. Thank you. I have Member Dessert.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Adam, I'm a big fan of the DuPage County Health Department, and between the leadership from Karen Ayala and you, we are the gold standard, and I really appreciate it. What I want to say is that I really appreciate how nimble our health department is, again, under your leadership. And that's, the health department has come out to Naples Pride Fest, for example, every year that we've had it with COVID vaccine or flu vaccine. But back in 2022, monkeypox was a big issue in the LGBTQ community. In fact, it was such a big issue locally that monkeypox vaccine was not to be found. Very, very few. Even, downtown when they had events, there were huge long lines for the monkeypox vaccine, and they just couldn't keep up. Whereas the DuPage County Health Department had plenty of vaccine for our residents. And I don't know where you found it, where you got the supply, but it was incredible. And that, I don't have a question, but I just appreciate how nimble you are, and continued good success. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Dessert. Member Galassi.
Thank you. We have a great team and we have a lot of support.
Thank you. And I really appreciated your presentation, and like it's been said, I appreciate your nimbleness to, address all the different health concerns in the community. When you send the presentation to us, could you add a column of actuals to the budget?
Yeah. So, and I'm sorry, I thought we did send stuff, but we'll make sure you get everything. The slide deck and the budget link, it's a PDF because it's close to 400 pages. It has all that budget detail. I think 3 years of actuals. 3 years of actuals are in the budget book.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
Great.
But we'll sync up and make sure you guys all got that. It should have come either Thursday or Friday, which I didn't expect anybody to.
Do you have a summary page, like on the one that was in the presentation? You have 2024 budget, 2025 budget. Did
Yeah.
you put a
So
column?
a summary, but include actuals.
Include actuals. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Member Galassi. Member Cahill.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I had a question about the fund balance. So if you're using $5 million of the fund balance, first of all, that's part of the fund balance that is able to be assigned. So is there a restricted fund balance? The fund balance basically indicates the health, the financial health. So what do we have left? What is left in fund balance after this 5 million?
So fund in total or percentage?
Well, in total.
What do you think that total number is? I know we're at like 42%.
I mean, I'm concerned that we're using our fund balance to pay for operations to pay for this budget to balance it. And that typically is something you wouldn't do.
Correct. Yeah. I think that we're doing that intentionally and as a temporary, I mean, the 5 million, we have a dedicated infrastructure fund that we can use. The 5 million for building capital projects like that, we can spend from there.
But that's not what we're doing here, right?
Yeah, come on. Could you come up to the microphone,
Have you done
please?
this before? Have you done this before? Have you used, I don't think we've used fund balance to balance the budget.
Yes, we have. And
Okay.
and I think as Adam mentioned, when we absorbed psychological services, the first year we had $1 million that we received from DuPage County to help us balance. The subsequent years after that, I think it was between 2019 and 2020, we used just under 2 million to help us balance, and we use fund balance to do that as well.
So what's in the fund balance now? What's your remaining fund balance?
We have about 43, well, our reserves right now are about 43%.
43%.
Yeah.
So do you have within that fund balance, there's a restricted funds that you cannot use to pay
Like,
Yeah, this is not restricted.
okay,
So like grant funding that we've received that we automatically have to obviously spend on grants, that doesn't include any of those dollars.
Okay, I just am concerned about the health of the financial statement there to make sure that by using that $5 million, we're not getting too low in our fund balance. So if some major problem happens, we need to use that money.
Yeah, I think I appreciate the concern because certainly it's not a sustainable strategy indefinitely, but we don't have that concern right now. I think we are in enough financial strength that we're not, the 42% is something like 30, we're in like 35 million,
Yeah.
something like that.
Okay. All right, and then the second question is about the $2.5 million gap.
Yes.
So we were in our meetings for DuPage Council for Strengthening the System, we talked about hospitals. We are going to be reducing ER visits, and we are going to be reducing a lot of the local hospitals. Have we reached out to them? Have we coordinated with them to try to work with them on what this could do for them by having the CRC and having emergencies rooms relieved due to the CRC?
Yes. Yeah. We don't have any commitments from them yet, but the conversations have been ongoing that they're going to stand to benefit both from reduction in ER traffic, but also because since we're going to see anybody at this center, regardless of insurance status, we're going to work with them on coordinated referrals back out to their outpatient. So it's kind of a win-win for them on multiple levels. And we are in discussions with them about what is reasonable for them to contribute to support us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I have member Guston and then member Krajewski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I thank you very much for your presentation. It was very well informed. The biggest hurdle, what is your biggest hurdle that you're going to have in the next 4 years? Do you think it's going to be? Is it going to be financing to keep operations going? You have a lot of areas of care that you're giving now, which is phenomenal.
Yeah.
I know we're focusing on mental health, but also with mental health comes substance use. A lot of times they go codependently.
Yes.
So I'm just curious as to what the picture is going to look like in 4 years and how we can possibly help. I know we have cannabis funds, tax dollars that, in my opinion, should go towards education and use to be able to kind of offset that and reduce that down. I'm just kind of curious as what your picture looks like in 4 years and potentially if there's help that you need from this board, like I said, potentially the cannabis money going towards efforts that you guys are doing.
I'm grateful for the question. I think this board has been incredibly supportive and helpful already in so many different ways, right? Helping us build it, opening doors on the fundraising side. The cannabis question, just like the opioid question, is something that we can continue to talk about to where that opportunity makes sense. While financing is certainly a hurdle and one we take very seriously, I again am very confident and optimistic in this plan. Like Mike just said, we've been here before where we've used fund balance, we've used our position of financial strength as a temporary strategy to get to more sustainable solutions. And I'm very confident in our team's ability to deliver on that. I would say the biggest hurdle is going to be staffing and paying staff enough. That's one of the top challenges now.
Which is a budget issue.
That's going to continue to be a challenge. Yeah.
Thank you very much for your hard work.
Thank you, member Guston and member Krajewski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And, thank you, Adam, again for the presentation. I'm just going to pick up on member Cahill, member Galassi. The only thing I know with regards to, you said flatline budget, the only thing I know about those budget numbers from last year and this year is those won't be the actual. And so as member Cahill, member Galassi, myself, we like to see the actuals so we can see what's going on. So 39 million is about the general fund, but maybe more for the finance person. Do you know the last 3 years? I know you said they're going to be in that you send us the actuals. I'm assuming the actuals came in with a surplus.
Yeah, what do we say about a
from your budget?
Oh, we need you to come up to the microphone, please. Could you come up to the microphone,
You
please?
know, similar to the county, we don't do a very good job of budgeting because we've been coming in with $30 million surpluses every single year for the last, I don't know how many years. But for your last 3 years, I assume you finished with surpluses.
That's correct.
And then the question is approximately, if you know, we don't have to tell me now, but you know what those were? Like, were you $1 million, $2 million surplus based on your budget, actuals to the budget?
Probably between 1 and 4 million a year. This year, it's going to be about 1 million.
So 1 million this year, 1 to 4 last year. So I mean, when
Three-
you're
3
budgeting a
million.
$5 million, using $5 million out of your, reserves, you've already accumulated well over 5 million just in the last few years, based on your actuals that have come in.
That's probably correct, yes.
So, you know, I don't have as much concern when I'm seeing you using 5 million out of reserves because you actually just accumulated that all over the last 3 years. And maybe more, I'll see that. That's kind of why it's important for some of board members here to see those actual numbers so we can see. I mean, the one thing I know is whatever your budget is this year won't be the actual that comes in next year. It'll be plus or minus something. So, but that's good that you, I mean, you have that surplus that you've accumulated just in the last couple of years, 1 to 4, 1 year, this year, 1 million. So I'm not as concerned about the 5 million.
Yeah, as Adam mentioned, the actuals are, the back section. is
Sure, no, I
gonna be
understand.
bigger. So it's, we're gonna.
I
use
figure you'd know it off the top of your head, which you did.
Line item detail as well as.
Yeah. I was just
there's
more
some-
concerned about the bottom line. The last couple of years you finished, you know,
Yes, it's
very large
the
surplus.
last 3 years.
Great,
Yeah,
thank
and
you.
that's exactly right. And I would just add though that that's part of why we're so comfortable with where we are, because exactly what you're describing. And that strategy is going to be needed even more because we've run like 20 different scenarios that we've analyzed to say what the revenue and expense of CRC is going to be. But the reality is we won't know until we start
You won't know
doing
until
it.
after first
We got to
year.
get some actual data, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know
So
exactly.
we need that flexibility.
Thank you again, Adam.
Yep.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, seeing none. Thank you so much, Adam. Thank you for the great presentation. Thank you for all the work that you and your team do over there. We appreciate it. Okay, so do we have any old business? Do we have any new business? Okay, without objection,